Hi dears, welcome back to Tech IT by SHK. Intel 12th Gen laptops are here. 12th General Intel Core processors offer leading-edge performance hybrid architecture and support both DDR5 and PCIe 5.0. That gives you a platform you can customize at any time down the road. 5 things you need to know. Desktop machines might take home the prize in absolute raw power, but most users are still using laptops for practicality and ease of use. So the new 12th Gen Alder Lake Intel processors, now freshly available in portable form, are a welcome upgrade for those who need their premium processing in a to-go package. 1. The new 12th Gen chips are speed demons. Perhaps you could be forgiven for predicting this plot twist beforehand, but Intel's new top-of-the-line chip is faster than its old top-of-the-line chip. But this is no mere iterative bump. The Core i9 Alder Lake CPU beats out Intel's previous best effort by a considerable margin, especially when it comes to intense media applications. While the comparisons for Adobe Suite programs and programs like Blender aren't perfect due to GPU helper systems, they're showing a consistent 10 to 20% improvement over Tiger Lake, especially for more lengthy rendering processes. Taking special notice of the Puget Bench Photoshop 23.1.1 test with the laptop's discrete graphics switched off, which eliminates the graphics card variable, while the Core i9-12900HK and Ryzen 9-5900HX machines are in a dead heat, the new Core i9-12900HK laptop beats them both by 18%. That's a huge performance boost for a single year. 2. Alder Lake retakes the lead from AMD again. It's not a huge surprise that the latest high-end chip from Company A beats the last gen high-end chip from Company B, because that was almost certainly a goal during its development. But for what it's worth, yes, the Core i9-12900HK beats the Ryzen 9-5900HX in almost every one of our benchmark tests, with one big exception: read-on. Results are more dramatic on more intensive benchmarks, but the takeaway is that, for the moment at least, Intel is the laptop speed king. That's an important metric for the company, if not anyone else, as marketable, and less expensive, laptops are one of the areas in which AMD has been hitting hard and growing quickly over the last few years. 3. New chips have practical gains, too. Turning away from questionably useful brinksmanship, it's worth noting the Core i9-12900HK does see considerable increases in performance beyond the very niche applications of media rendering. If you're spending your days crunching numbers in Excel, you'll see a boost in performance with the Neve processor. Intel was already beating AMD in this area, but in Procyon tests for most office applications we can see about a 10% boost for the new Core i9-12900HK. That difference in performance is even more dramatic in Excel. If you live in the browser, you'll see gains as well. In the Motion Mark 1.197 test, Alder Lake smashed previous records by an appreciable margin. Other browser tests showed similar, if less dramatic, results. 4. A slight boost to gaming. Gaming is less reliant on CPU power than on GPU power, but even so, a low-quality processor can bottleneck a beefy graphics card. That's not a problem with the Core i9-12900HK, it's showing modest to dramatic gains in gaming, especially on CPU-focused tests. In the 3D Time Spy test, the Alder Lake chip outperformed both previous Intel and AMD chips by nearly 30%. Intel already had a decisive edge on gaming performance versus an AMD laptop with a similar level of hardware, but Alder Lake boosts that. What kind of gains you'll see depends on the specific game, but you can expect to see a considerable bump over last year's Ryzen flagship and a modest bump over a Tiger Lake machine. Again, this may or may not scale further down the line into the lower-powered 7, 5, and 3 series chips from both manufacturers, and your GPU will still have a much bigger impact on overall gaming performance. 5. Lacking battery power. They can't all be winners, and in our battery of tests, the Core i9-12900HK remains something of a power hog. While improving upon the last generation of Intel chips by a nice margin, AMD's Ryzen 9 platform beats it for laptop battery life by 10% in total runtime, even with a battery that's approximately 10% smaller. For someone seeking a laptop with the absolute fastest processor possible, battery life is probably a secondary concern if you're editing video, rendering Blender projects, or playing Call of Duty with ray tracing enabled. Odds are that you'll never forget your charging cable at home. But for those who want a bit more balance toward practicality, AMD still offers a better choice. Ryzen 6000, 5 key things to know about AMD's laptop CPUs. AMD and Intel are locked in an ongoing battle that ends only when one company shudders. Fortunately for us in the stands, neither has any intention of ceding much ground to the other. The result is a never-ending succession of top-notch, affordable CPUs. The release of AMD's Ryzen 6000 mobile processors continues this saga, with the Ryzen 9-12900HS firing a shot directly across Intel's bow. You'll find this chip in thin, lightweight laptops, with far less sacrifice and performance than you might expect when compared to Intel's beefier flagship mobile CPU. 1. Lots of power in a small package. At first glance, the benchmarks for the Ryzen 9-12900HS may appear to show Intel trouncing AMD's best. Despite surpassing its predecessors in nearly every test, the 6900HS is still eclipsed by the Intel Core i9-12900HK. The 12900HK hangs onto the top spot across rendering, encoding, productivity, and creative tasks. However, the comparison between it and the 6900HS isn't a true apples-to-apples comparison. What you're actually looking at is a comparison of Intel's flagship mobile chip against the best of AMD's available silicon. Intel focused on its hardest-hitting chips for the launch of its 12th generation Alder Lake mobile processors. The kind of laptops in which you'll find it in other Intel H-class CPUs are beastly and often weigh in at 5 or 6 pounds, or more. For the release of Ryzen 6000, AMD wants our attention on a chip designed for thinner, lighter laptops, usually around 3 to 4 pounds. The 6900HS isn't the top of the stack. That distinction goes to the Ryzen 9-6980HX, which is still to come. That processor runs faster and consumes more power, similar to the Core i9-12900HK. Instead, the 6900HS is a few rungs down, with a bit shaved off its clock speed and a more efficient 35-watt TDP. The fact that the 6900HS is posting numbers within 10% of the L2900HK, and sometimes even closer, is damn impressive. You're seeing a premium 3.6 middle-pound gaming laptop perform not far off from a 6.4-pound competitor that has the luxury of more room. That size difference is important, because the less space you have in a laptop, the more carefully performance must be balanced with heat concerns. It's notable that AMD's chip comes this close to its biggest rival despite being confined to a laptop almost half the weight. The short of it is that for anyone who travels light, you're not making a big performance sacrifice to shuck those pounds from your bag. 2. Speed upgrades across the board. Hello at last. C4.0. The 6900HS may have all the attention right now, but platform upgrades have arrived alongside it. When you consider a laptop with a Ryzen 6000 series chip versus one from a previous gen, you're not just weighing a boost in CPU performance, but also support for Pickle 4.0, USB 4, DDR4 memory, Wi-Fi 6E, and Bluetooth Low Energy 5.2. This tech will speed up your laptop experience across the board. PCIe 4.0 arguably has the most impact on day-to-day performance. AMD keeps support at 8 lanes, or the same number as for Pickle 3 with previous gens. That move doubles the bandwidth for the GPU connection. Another 12 lanes have been added for storage and other general uses, too. Paired with DDR4 memory up to 4800 megatransfers per second, or low-power LPDDR4 memory up to 6400 mount/s, Ryzen 6000 systems should feel pretty zippy. USB 4 ports will close the gap between AMD and Intel, with the latter having had the advantage of Thunderbolt 3 and Thunderbolt 4 for external data transfers. USB 4 incorporates and builds upon Thunderbolt 3, with up to 40 gigabits per second transfer speed, and also supports DisplayPort 2 and charging. Rounding out the lineup is Wi-Fi 6E, with its cutting-edge wireless speeds handy if you live in an area that's rolling out ultra-fast fiber connections. But that's not all. Beyond the platform upgrades that AMD rightfully boasts about, the Ryzen 9-6900HS and other Ryzen 6000 chips will support Pluton, Microsoft's new security chip, as well as feature improvements to AMD's Smart Shift technology. Smart Shift dynamically adjusts the amount of power fed to the CPU and GPU, depending on the needs of each. For Ryzen 6000, Smart Shift Max will help to coax higher raw performance, while Smart Shift Eco will work to ensure better battery life. Separately, Smart Access Graphics performs similar management between use of integrated graphics and a discrete GPU in relevant laptops, but basically, they should provide nuanced but tangible boosts to overall laptop performance. 3. Spreadsheet warriors and creatives may want a different chip. The Ryzen 9-6900HS makes a damn fine case for choosing AMD over Intel, especially given how powerful the chip is. For most people, it supercharges what you can expect from a thin, lightweight gaming laptop. But as mentioned above, the Intel Core i9-12900HK does hold a lead over it in benchmark results. Individuals who can't compromise on performance, typically professionals with intense computing demands, will want to scrutinize the test results, especially if you lean on one or two specific Adobe Creative Cloud applications. In programs like Premiere Pro and even Lightroom, the L2900HK has enough of an edge to save you tangible time. In Photoshop, the difference is slimmer. But even those who push Office applications to their limits should pay attention. Do you often sling ultra-intense slides in PowerPoint? The 6900HS's wonky results might give you pause. The same applies to anyone who crunches major numbers in Excel. Again, most people don't fall into these camps, and the Ryzen 9-6900HS will chew through normal productivity work just fine. But if you're the equivalent of an Office eSports pro, Intel 2nd Gen H-class chips may be better for you in the here and now. You can also wait for Intel's equivalents to AMD Ryzen HS processors to hit shelves, or conversely, AMD's beefier Ryzen 9-6980HX and 6900HX, which launch next month. With time, you'll see which chips hit the hardest in the form factor you favor. 4. Ryzen 6000 feet 5 inches integrated graphics are killer. One clear win for AMD is the RDNA 2-based integrated graphics inside Ryzen 6000 mobile processors. It's the same technology in AMD's current lineup of Radeon RX 6000 series graphics cards, and you can clearly see its supercharging effect. When pitted against the IGP in the Core i9-L2900HK, the 6900HS came in a whopping 33% faster. That might not mean much to someone buying a 6900HS, as this high-end chip will almost always be paired with discrete graphics. But for someone looking at budget laptops, this level of performance is huge. A notebook with no discrete graphics would still be capable of running games at 720p at higher graphics settings, or 1080p at low settings, depending on the title. You could buy a productivity laptop and play games directly on it. You're not purely reliant on cloud gaming services like GeForce Now or Xbox Cloud Gaming. 5. No surprises with battery life for now. Comparing battery life across different laptops is tricky, even when they have the same processor. Factors beyond just the two obvious power guzzlers, the CPU and GPU, influence how long you can go on a single charge. For example, the size of your battery and your display's power consumption have direct impact as well. That said, battery benchmarks still are important. They reveal chips that have a notable effect on runtime. You can weed out ones that might bleed faster than is tolerable. Fortunately, we found no issues with the 6900HS. Prior to launch, AMD did make claims about better power efficiency, however. Team Red claimed up to 24 hours of video playback, or a 3-hour improvement over Ryzen 5000 mobile chips. Please like and subscribe and click the bell icon. Enable all alerts to get new video updates. Share this video and channel with your friends and family. Bye from SHK.